Andy, I didn't expect really to see you this morning because you had such a late night last night.
I did, Dave. I had planned to watch the first half, and I told myself I'm probably have to go to bed. But I couldn't pull myself away, Dave. It was just a wild, wild game in Detroit last night. I went upstairs at halftime and showered. I come back down, and the Packers are suddenly on top of Detroit. And I was like, "What happened here?" So I'm catching up to that. It's just score and chaos until Dave, until the final whistle. It was a adrenaline pumping game. Dan Campbell proved that he's probably got the biggest balls on the planet Earth. Just a gutsy game, gutsy play calling. The Lions just wouldn't be defeated. I mean, man, they are so banged up. They got more banged up last night, Dave. More injuries last night. And the Packers played good football. Jordan Love looked like a very good quarterback at times. But the Lions got it done. Clinched a playoff berth, Dave. First time since 1995, the Lions are going back to back playoffs. Yeah, 2 year seasons in a row. You've got Tim Patrick, the resurrection of Tim Patrick. This guy hasn't scored a touchdown over 1,000 days. Punches in 2 touchdowns yesterday. It was just a wild game. It was awesome. It was awesome. So I'm going to pay the price for it today. But these are the things we do for our teams. This is what fandom does. You sacrifice sleep to celebrate your team's glory.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a problem, I think, on Saturday night because Penn State plays Oregon in the Big Ten
Oh yeah,
championship game. That's an 8 o'clock start, which means it'll really start at 8:15. All the hoopla and all this other stuff. It'll be a late night there as well.
yeah.
What's going on in your background? I keep hearing like somebody like rustling aluminum foil or
I
something.
have my dogs are here, Dave, and one of them
Okay.
decided not to eat her food today, and the other one decides she wants to eat her food. So there's a little bit of a ruckus going on behind me as my two pups are, working through their morning stress.
Yeah, there you go. You gotta you gotta work through it all as we always do. Okay, Andy, let's get into a couple things.
Do it.
We've gone quite a while without like talking politics. I think it's been at least several episodes, maybe even 2 full weeks, Andy.
Been a good run.
But there's been some news this week that I think is worth pulling out. So, most notably, uh, President Biden's decision to pardon his son, who's at the center of a controversy on like a weapons charge and money financing charges earlier this year. He was convicted, and now he'll get a full pardon. It kind of reminds me, especially which is interesting because President Biden said he would not do that.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of the end of the Lord of the Rings when Frodo's about ready to throw the ring in and get rid of throw it into the fires amount.
Couldn't do
Uh,
it.
yeah, and he's just like, nope, the ring is mine. And it's kind of like Biden says, you know what? No, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put my own. And so, I mean, it's not a direct analogy, Andy, but it's
No, I like it. I like it. I like
kind of
it.
feels that way. Um, of course, this is getting like a lot of backlash, not just from Republicans, but also from Democrats. And frankly, Andy, it sets up a precedent now that like it kind of gives Trump a carte blanche to pardon whoever the hell he wants. Now, not that presidents haven't done that in the past, anyways.
Yeah.
This is just a little weird. I don't know. What do you think, Andy?
It is over. I mean, this is all over the news and everybody's weighing in. And I think people are pretty. Mostly, there's people that are pissed off at Joe Biden, and people are trying to say, "Hey, it's Trump's fault. Like he's doing this, but it's Trump's fault. They shouldn't have chased after Hunter Biden. It was a politically motivated thing. I mean, at the end of the day, Hunter Biden was wrong, right? I mean, you can argue that he shouldn't have been through the scrutiny he was, and this that. Look, I've said this before. Like Joe Biden's had a rough life in some respects. Hunter Biden's had a rough life for sure. He's kind of a wreck, and the guy's kind of a wreck. But he also broke the rules. He broke the law, and like there's consequences for that, even if you're the president's son. So it's not like he was framed or set up or falsely convicted. Yeah, it was politically motivated. They were going after Hunter because they were going after Joe, but still, like he still broke the law. So the pardon, like I get it. Dad's on his way out, might not be around in 4 years. Wants to give Biden coverage. He's not a political, victim here as the Trump administration comes in. He's trying to protect his son. Like I get all the temptation and reason to do it, and he's right in that it had not been for the fact that he was Joe Biden's son, it probably never would have happened. But he broke the law, and Joe Biden insisted that he would not do this. and he still came out and did it, and it just looks really bad. Like I get all the reasons that he did it, but it looks really bad. And so you've got folks again defending it, saying, "Hey, again, it's because of the Republican Congress, because of the incoming administration. It should never have happened." But it still looks pretty bad. And Hunter Biden, to be honest, gets away without facing the consequence of his actions, which probably isn't the best thing for Hunter Biden. This guy needs to grow up at some point and get his shit together. And daddy's just taking care of him and pampering him. And like, that's probably not the best thing for this guy in the long run anyway.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So it would be fascinating to see how this plays out. But again, it just sets a very bad precedent. Again, not that these haven't been controversial in the past. You could go
Yeah.
back to a lot of presidents who've given pardons. You could go back to Gerald Ford pardoning Nixon, which, many people say saved the nation in a lot of respects. But at the same time, there's been controversy all the time. It just I there's other reporting that shows that Biden might be trying to preemptively pardon people that Trump is looking
Yeah.
to pursue, especially with the new FBI, well, the nominated FBI director coming in. Um, so it's just going to be, it's kind of getting a little nasty, I think. So,
Yeah, and that's what a lot of folks say now is like, hey, if we're just going to give preemptive pardons, like, let's just pardon fucking everybody, and then we can
right.
all do whatever we want, and nobody's going to be convicted for it. Like that starts to become chaos, right? I mean, it gets ugly quick. Again, Congress can step in and make rules. Congress can put straight limitations on. They're not going to, right? They're not going to. And so you see, I mean, at the end of the day, this continues to bring more and more power to the presidency. It continues to make our presidents more and more like kings. And it's dangerous. It's not what we want in America. I mean, we fought hard to avoid this. George Washington fought hard to set good examples and precedents. And yet here we are 250 years later, and one clown follows another clown, at least our entire lifetimes, Dave. And the presidency just gets uglier and uglier, and Congress, because they just want to have a strong president that represents their party, continues to let them get stronger and stronger. And at the end of the day, it's bad for America. Joe Biden's decision was bad for America. The precedent is bad for America, and it makes the future a lot of concerns, right? I mean, if the Republicans go wild and do some crazy shit over the next 2 to 4 years, and Donald Trump just says, "Well, pardons for everybody, pardon for you, pardon for you." He plays Oprah Winfrey out there, right? Just giving everybody their pardons. Now, that's not the America that we want to live in. We want a nation of law and order, justice and consequences, and we're questioning if that's going to be our future here, and that's not something we should be questioning.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And let's turn to another parental thing with politics. Looks like the nominee for the Department of or Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. Was it Hegsway?
Access, access.
Yeah, whatever his name is, Hegseth. He's facing serial sexual variations of sexual assault allegations, infidelity, a lot of challenges there. Probably like a toxic workplace as well for some coworkers. His mom even had previously had come out and had it was noted that she had written a letter about or her concerns for him. Well, I guess now she's on his side again and saying coming to voice his support with some of the senators out there, Andy.
Yeah.
Another fascinating development, I guess, on that front.
Yeah, I mean, what's fascinating is, the GOP right now is doing a lot to sort of say, we're tough, we're strong, we're macho, right? We're men. This is how men should behave. I hear a lot of this bullshit from people like Josh Hawley and others, and you see it with Trump and others, like we can do whatever we want to do. And then you've got fucking Pete Hegseth's mom coming on Fox News to set the record straight. You got Elon Musk's mom showing up on TV to protect her son. Like, look, guys, you're not fucking 8 years old. Like these guys are in their 50s, in their 40s. Like if you still need your mom to come out and defend you, like you ain't doing it right, brother. If your mom's coming out on national television to defend the potentially incoming Secretary of Defense, like something's gone sideways here. You know what I mean? Like it is a pretty shitty situation. So it's comical. It looks like Pete's not gonna be able to go through this process. Most likely, he's not gonna move forward, but he's fighting for it, and he might, And just the fact that his mom's coming out on Fox, and it's just embarrassing. Again, just like with these parties, it's just an embarrassing moment in our history. Like this is where we are, right? Like we've got this guy coming out. He has to preemptively say, "Hey, look, I won't drink on the job." Like that shouldn't be something that has to be said by the incoming Secretary of Defense. And never mind all the other charges that he's not saying I won't do. Like I won't, sexually harass women. I won't mismanage funds. Like I've tried to say I'm going to give these guys room and see what happens. But like this guy's record is pretty shitty. I mean, for an incoming Secretary of Defense, like I was saying this yesterday, like I think I could be Secretary of Defense, right? But I'm not qualified to be Secretary of Defense, right? I'm just other qualifications to do that job. Even if I think I could do a good job, Pete Hegseth, he thinks he can be Secretary of Defense. He's not qualified. He hasn't done the things you need to do to be Secretary of Defense. And mom coming out there and saying that, hey, my son's good enough. He's nice enough. You'll like him. Isn't the right move. I'll shut up. I'll shut up.
Yeah, I mean, Andy, he was a Fox News anchor, right? I mean,
He
that's isn't
was.
that qualified?
He was on Fox News.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, I remember my mom when I was 10, fighting for my brother and I,
Yeah.
I don't think she would quite do it at, when we hit 50 or whatever. But,
Yeah.
we love our moms, Andy. We love
Yeah.
Mama Jabal
Thanks,
out there.
moms.
So, thanks out there. Andy, you mentioned, Tesla or Elon Musk.
I did.
Uh, well, let's just transition. This is an awkward transition, moving from politics to kind of Cybertrucky things. Andy,
Yeah.
there's been reporting that the production of the Cybertruck is slowing down after like kind of good sales earlier this year. It looks like the sales are slowing. Workers are being told to or doing other things instead of production. I sent you yesterday about three or four
Yeah.
memes or reels about people talking about how asinine the Tesla truck is. Oh my God, this I just don't understand this piece at all, Andy. So
Yeah, it was some funny stuff that you sent over, Dave, and people are having fun with it. I tell you, I'm seeing, I know that they just came out with that the production's slowing down, orders aren't coming in, but a lot of orders did go in, and there's a lot of Cybertrucks driving around, and I see
yeah,
not a few of these things. I mean, given Northern Virginia, Dave, we've got a lot of like really expensive cars. As I drive in and out of DC, like you see a lot of expensive cars, and you see your fair share of Cybertrucks. I mean, I've seen them in black, I've seen them in yellow, I've seen them in like teal green or teal blue, whatever the right term is. They're ugly. They're monstrous. Like I like two things get me fired up on the road with like no control. I see a Cybertruck, I almost instantly get pissed off and hate the driver. I see a Confederate flag, I get pissed off and I hate the driver. Like I have no control over my emotions. It's just a instant reaction as soon as I see them. And hey, you might be a great person driving a Cybertruck. I'm not judging you personally. I kind of am, but I'm not. You know what I mean? Like you might be a great person driving the truck. Like you talked about, Dave. You got a friend, that has one. Like it's not, but it's still. I hate that thing so much. It's so ridiculous, and it's fun to see people having fun with them. I mean, and you see more and more about how they do some cool things, but also they kind of suck and they're having a lot of issues.
yeah, it's definitely an interesting development. I just don't know why. Like I get the Tesla cars. Look, we've talked about how we don't necessarily like the design of them. I can tolerate them. I don't quite have the visceral reaction you do, but like the Tesla truck. And look, if you wanted to build an EV truck, that's one thing. But
Oh yeah,
this is this is so out of like crazy. Like if somebody came in here from another planet and plopped down and saw the Tesla truck driving around, they'd be like, "What the fuck is that?"
yeah,
Like I think and most people have that reaction. I would agree with you though. We are seeing more of them in the wild out there. I just like at what you're not driving them, you're not going off-roading with them, despite what the commercials may show you. You're not going to Home Depot loading up with wood and stuff. You're not seeing the contractors out there
yeah.
building up. So, like, what is it exactly, other than just somebody to flaunt out that they have the fucking money to spend $100,000 on a truck that really isn't a truck? It's more like something you'd see on the moon.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. I think right now today, you're right. I mean, I don't see anybody using it in any practical way. For like for work as a truck, right? There's hauling anything. It's it feels like, this might be not correct, but it feels like it's a vehicular MAGA hat, right? It's saying, hey, look, I'm a stand for Donald Trump. I'm a stand for Elon Musk. I love these guys and I support them. Here's my Cybertruck. Check me out. Like I'm gonna put it in your face. Here's my red hat. Here's my silver Cybertruck. Screw you. And you know, like you're allowed to like have fun with it, brother. If that's what you want to do, like drive your ugly fucking car, be a monstrous wreck on the road, spend your money, have a great time. Like I mean, like the one of the videos you shared yesterday, Dave, was equating it to a modern day version of the PT Cruiser. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you want to rock and roll in a PT Cruiser? Like power to you, man. If that's your vehicle of choice, rock and roll. Enjoy your PT Cruiser. Everyone else is looking at you thinking that's a weird car, but you enjoy it. And the same thing. If you're loving your Cybertruck, hey, enjoy your Cybertruck. Get out there, drive, have fun. Or you know what? Buy a Ford F-150 Lightning and get an actual functional truck that looks great, drives great, and you know what? It's a truck. Like it's actually a truck.
No, here to that, Andy. Okay. All right. Andy, it's been like a depressing Friday. I mean, other than the Lions talk earlier, I mean, we've kind of had just like sucky topics. And I'm going to throw another sucky one at you, Andy. Earlier this week, we had a really bad incident in New York City. Andy, the CEO of United Health um, was shot and killed outside of a building in New York City. The individual is still at large, I believe, as early as I'm looking at it. Um, but this is a pretty brazen attack. It was on the public street as the individual was entering the building
Yeah.
or attempting to enter the building. He was shot in the back and then shot again in the leg, and of course he was killed. But I mean that's unfortunate of itself. I think the other unfortunate part here is a lot of the commentary on the socials or anything out there. One, feeling very low regard for this individual, the CEO,
Yeah.
but two, almost encouraging or inciting or suggesting that more CEOs should be targeted because they make so much more money in such a hard time for people.
Yeah.
It's really a tragic that we're seeing. One, the death of any individual is tragic, but two, to see that this is not a reflective period, it's actually a concerning period from some of that. So, what are your thoughts there, Amy?
Yeah, I mean, it really is strange. I mean, just like we said during some of the political tensions and the attempted assassinations of President-elect Trump, like when you take it to violence, you're wrong, right? Like we cannot celebrate violence and harm, no matter what you think of a political leader, of a business leader, of anybody. Like you can't celebrate their assassination, right? Like, and it's been really remarkable to see like the level of enthusiasm or sort of blasé, like he had a coming attitude that like, hey, like it's not that big a deal. Like this guy was begging for it. Look, whether you like a CEO or not, like they're in the job, they have a job. Don't hate a guy for getting a pay package, right? You can question the where we are as America and should this be the way it is. Like you can ask those questions all day long, but he did his job. He got into this position. You can think he's the biggest asshole in the world. You can't say it's okay to get him murdered, right? I mean, and it's been like remarkably to me concerning that there's been so much sort of apathy and there's so much like, hey, like it's really not a big deal. He had it coming. Like it's really sad to see that, right? And it's sort of the approval of violence or non-condemnation of violence is sort of a sad state of where we are, politically today. And I say politically because I feel like it's falling really on political lines, right? It's really sort of the left being okay with this attack, and that's just not right, right? We should never be okay with people taking violence and playing the role of judge and executioner, with their own hands, right? We don't. This isn't a judge-dread society. This guy's not even law enforcement, right? He's just a guy that's going to be found. He's going to be charged, right? Or he's going to be terminated by law enforcement. And it's just sad to see. It's sad to see. So like this should never have happened. It was a planned, premeditated, deliberate attack. It should never have happened. And there's no justification for it. There's no it's okay, right? We can't murder our political enemies. We can't murder businesses we don't like. We can't murder people we don't like. That's not how it's going to work. Again, it goes back to where we started, Dave, with Hunter Biden and the rule of law. We have a nation of rules and laws and justice and consequences. and we can't. If we start violating those norms, like we go into a state of chaos that we don't want people walking around the streets with guns, deciding who should live and who should die. Like that's not the America we want to live in. And I'm really disappointed by all those who, even if they haven't cheered it on, have said, well, like he had it coming. It's like, no, he didn't
Yeah.
have it coming. He didn't have it coming.
Yeah, I think a lot of the unfortunate part is like again, we're in America. If you don't like certain things, you have ways to change that. Like you have the freedom of choice to say I'm going to do something different. I'm
Yeah,
going to vote for other people.
yeah,
I'm going to do this. And I know some people feel like they don't really have that choice, but you do. You're not pressured into doing anything that your life may be harder in some instances, but that doesn't mean you don't have a choice and you can make decisions for yourself freely unlike other places. But again, there's just no room for any of this in our environment, and it's troubling. I think that's that we feel like we have to go to that level or to that resort. So it would be interesting. You're right. I mean, this individual is going to be caught at some point in time. Something's, that person's either going to surrender or they're going to be put down in some way. And I think that's again what that person is going through that they feel like their only choice is to take this action. There's got to be help for that person too in
yeah.
some respects. So we have to look at it and really understand how we could do better as a society. Look, if we don't like what big businesses are doing, there's choices out there. There's
Yeah.
opportunity. So
And you made an important point that like this has others sort of think like they're seeing this be celebrated and they're seeing others they'd like to target. And again, there's just like with international terrorism, just like with other forms of domestic extremism, and people look at this and think, hey, I'm gonna do this too. Like this, like we've crossed this line. People are celebrating it, whether it's the Islamic State, Nazi terrorist group, or in this case, other extremist ideologies and beliefs, and it inspires others to be like, well, I'm going to do this too. And like again, like we don't want to encourage that. It's just a really sad thing. There's other ways to deal with this. Deal with this in other ways.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I know we have other jobs, Andy, that do talk about these security type of situations.
Yeah,
You're right. I mean, there's a lot of individuals that get celebrated and are martyred in a lot of respects, whether that's religious based or ideologically based. They get martyred and they get, put in almost this sainthood
yeah.
for carrying out these events. Okay, so Andy, kind of a downer Friday in a lot of respects even though you had a very good win last night.
Yeah, I
So
just want to celebrate the Lions, Dave. I don't know why you're making this such a downer of an episode, but no, no. I mean, these are important issues, right? These are important issues, and like we say, the way policy, the election got so timed. There's a lot of important political issues, and sort of seeing the deterioration of the rule of law, right? Whether it's on the streets or in the White House, like these are things that should, as Americans, give us just a moment of pause. Say, like, are things going the way we want them to go? Is this the America I want? Meanwhile, you look to South Korea, Dave. Just hit us real quick. I mean, a wild week in South Korea, a wild week in France, right?
yeah,
Where democracy wins, right? Democracy is winning. People are standing up for their political beliefs. People are standing up for democracy. One of the bravest acts I saw was the Korean woman approaching the soldier. I mean, that was huge. Like, there's amazing things happening, and here we are, Dave, like seeing like democracy and norms deteriorate in front of us. As Americans, we should question this and ask ourselves, like, is this the America I want to be a part of? How can I help be the change to something better? And we should do something about it.
yep. No, I hear on that one, Andy. So, hey, Andy, you got big plans for this weekend, or
Dave, I don't. I think this is my Christmas decorating weekend. I think it's the
okay,
plan. Cleaned up Thanksgiving yesterday, cleaned up the fall decor yesterday, and I think this weekend, the Christmas lights and decor come out. It's a new year this year in my household. I'll come back maybe to that next week. We're doing things different, so it's an exciting time. How about you? Anything big on the Pounder radar?
yeah, we got a little neighborhood Christmas party thing, like more of a social,
Yeah.
I would say. So, we're gonna do that, and then we're going to go cut our tree down in about little northern part of North Carolina in the mountains, about 2 hours away or so. And so then we'll bring that back, and like we're all set up for Christmas other than our tree, so we'll bring that in and do that this weekend. So it'll be
All right.
fun.
All right. Well, that'll be fun. So we'll be doing some Christmas decorating and celebrating. And happy weekend to you as we wrap up the first week of December, Dave. We're getting down to the wire. 2024 is almost come and gone. It's an
Crazy.
exciting time.
Crazy time for sure,
Yeah.
Andy. Crazy time for sure. All right, with that, Andy, have a good weekend and go Penn State, and we'll catch up with you on Monday.